already on the.
I know, where's the bad face?
All right, we're live. We're live. Let's go.
Alright, so I gaveled the meeting at 5:31. So let's just all go around and say our names and our position. So I'm on boy, I'm the speaker.
What, we're doing this?
Roll call, I mean, yeah.
Why do I need to do that?
I don't know, why did you do
I
that?
don't know. Candace Martinez Jones, Assistant Director for Leadership and Governance. I also serve as SGA advisor. I use she, her pronouns. I am non-voting member.
My name is Reese Kerminsky, he, him pronouns, SGA Senator.
I'm Hidayah Sadiq, Senator, she, her, she, finance, she,
Julius Gale, FYA.
I'm Kai. He, him pronouns, Senator. I'm Josue Lemos, Assistant Speaker of the Senate.
I'm Rashad Devin, SGA Senator.
Taryn Oaks, she, her, Senator.
Sean Jordan, Senator. He, his.
Wendy Zhang, she, hers, I'm not an SGA.
Naomi Chambers, she, her student.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I serve as the Executive Vice President of SGA.
I'm Callista, I'm Director of Communications.
I'm Michaela, FYA.
Taylor, FYA, her, hers. Sophia, her, hers, student.
Alyssa, SGA secretary. Alright, so look at the minutes from last week.
I'm gonna sit here. Oh, you're fine. I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Is anyone opposed? The motion passes. Alright, so now we're gonna get into our confirmations. We have 4 today. The first up is confirmation of Ben Clark as Director of Social Media and Web Design of the Communications Division.
So yeah, real quick, Ben has just stepped to the restroom very briefly. But I'm introducing this, I think Ben would be a great asset to the communications department. And he was vetted by the proper channels, so very excited to have Ben before this body today as soon as he's back from the restroom.
I also forwarded you guys his application responses, so we can just take a look at that while he's coming. Lisa, Felicity, did you know something?
Yes.
Can you let us know a little bit how that went?
How the interview went?
Yeah.
When I interviewed Ben, he has a lot of experience with SCB as a marketer there. So he knows a lot about Hootsuite and Mainly, which is like a website that you use to schedule posts on all different social media platforms. Additionally, Ben is really experienced with how to post graphics on time, make great captions, also Instagram stories, which is really important for us. And additionally, he shows a lot of promise to the communications department and what he can do as a social media marketer for us.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, she just got up to go to the bathroom.
Is Emmanuel here? Or no?
No, he's not here yet.
Okay.
Do you know if he is, because he didn't answer my email about time.
I told him he came to our meeting by accident earlier. But he shouldn't have.
So Ben, you're up. So if you could just give us a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
why you're interested in this position.
Sure. So hi, my name is Ben Clark. I just got hired. Obviously, it's a social media coordinator, and so what really piqued my interest was when I was looking at the application. I really saw that like the SGA could like use my input because obviously, as some of you know, I'm a marketer on SEB, and I deal with social media like that's my life there. So, and I feel like there's a lot of things that I can do for the better, and a lot of things you guys are doing great that I can keep continuing to do. So.
One clarification, there's actually a confirmation piece, you've been like hired officially yet, I just want to
Okay,
make
sorry.
sure, just for the official.
They have to vote you
agenda,
in.
right, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, wait, are we into questions or not?
Yeah, sorry. Are there any questions for Ben?
Hello, Ben
Hey.
Clark. My name's Josue.
Nice to meet you.
Could you kind of like, do you have like a perhaps like a description of like maybe a social media campaign that you really like led on and like that you felt very proud of?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, I would show you, but anyways, the last semester, as you know, we had Trevor Noah come to UMBC, and I actually was the organizer and the producer of our promotion video that went on all social media. So with where we went around campus with the Trevor Noah head and kind of like just like showed around campus, and kind of was trying to like hype everybody up. So that's one that I had a full like 100% like that was all me part in. But then again, I'm involved with almost everything that we put out for SEB.
Yeah.
So
So, you did something similar in SEB, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you do different with this position in SGA as opposed to SEB?
So what's different about between the two organizations is obviously like SEB can kind of puts on like I don't know how to describe it. I guess SGA is more of like a student driven like kind of a little bit more private group where SEB is like putting on all of the like we put on like I don't know 100 events a semester. Like obviously you guys aren't at that scale, but that doesn't mean that you guys can't have the same social media presence that we have. You just utilize social media in different ways for different organizations. So one thing, because like right after this meeting, I'm going to run. Well, we have elections for SEB, and I'm running for the vice president of marketing. And one of my big running points is audience engagement and transparency. The student body wants to feel a part of these organizations, and sometimes they can feel very disconnected. And the more that they can engage with your pages, the more that they can feel a part of the community, even though if they might not be directly involved. I think that's the big key here.
Sean?
You just said you were running for an SCB position?
Yes, vice president.
So how would you, if you were confirmed for this position, how would you manage the two?
So what the thing about me is, so when I came to this campus, I was not very involved at all. I really didn't do anything my first year. And basically every semester since then, I've kind of added a new challenge for myself to kind of push myself as far as I can be. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this has been like my busiest semester so far because I've started doing a lot more things off campus, that kind of thing. But the big thing for me is I love to challenge myself. And if I say something's gonna get done, it's gonna get done. You guys definitely won't have to worry about that.
Just wait and Reese.
Point for clarification, everybody's welcome to like join in the discussion and like ask questions and stuff like that, regardless if you are an elected person or not. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned audience engagement, but a big problem for SGA would be audience acquirement. We don't have that many people who follow us who are at least active students anymore. So, do you have any ideas or strategies?
Yeah, for sure, and that ties kind of hand in hand. So what students sometimes like when you're looking to like if you're looking at a page and you're like, should I follow this or not? A big part of the first initial impression is key. So if they go on your page and you have nothing but still images with polls on it and nothing piques their interest, it's like they're not gonna pay any attention to it. But if the first video that they come across is a promo video going deeper inside what all the people on SGA do, their roles, and on the caption you say, share this on your story, go like 3 of our old posts, and then you'll be entered into a raffle for a drawing. Give away a $20 gift card. It's something simple like that, that if 10 people share it on their Instagram story, you're reaching, so let's say each piece of these people has 500 followers. That means you're reaching, math, 5,000 new audience members that you wouldn't have in the first place.
So we're actually doing that already a little bit in communications right now. Like they're actually holding a raffle soon. Correct me if I'm wrong. What are like other like maybe like ideas or like way of like increasing our audience?
For sure. So a big thing, like I mentioned before, where like what gets people to stop. A big thing that we're starting to implement. I'm sorry for keep mentioning SCB. It's just very hand in hand. But one thing we're starting to implement is we're going to start doing like weekly vlogs that show. Not weekly, maybe bi-weekly. But basically, what we've been doing is showing people a side of SEB that you don't see normally. Because when you go to these events and you see our faces, it's like, oh, that's just a person that works for SEB. They're always so serious. They're always working. But like in reality, we're all students. We all experience the same things. So stuff like that, where you can see a different side of an organization that you didn't know about before.
Nice.
More questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve SL 35-1920.
All those in favor? Opposing, 0. Abstaining, 0. Present, 0. Motion passes.
Nice. Woo! Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you have to be sworn in.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
One person to swear you in.
Okay.
He's wrong.
There you
Somebody got the
Okay, so I haven't memorized those, so I'm just gonna have to pull it up again.
Good pictures.
Any pictures?
I'm asking you.
Thank you.
Wait, where's the oath again?
Type in oath. There you go. Any of those will work.
Whoops.
Where's Liam? He knows it.
I know. Just do one that.
I'll do a picture.
Yeah, that's fine.
You guys say it with your chest.
Which way am I facing?
You face the flag. I'm
I'm
sorry.
I state your name.
I, Ben Clark,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of Social Media and Web Design of the Communications Department.
Can you repeat that? I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
The office of Social Media. No.
The office of coordinator of.
The office of coordinator of
Social Media
social media
and Web Design
and web design
of the Communications
of
Department
the communications department
of the UMBC
of the UMBC
Student Government Association
Student Government Association
and will,
and will,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
promote and defend
promote and defend
the interests and well-being
the interests and well-being
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
of UMBC's undergraduate students. Sorry. Thanks, guys.
All right, I need to check.
And these podcast pros, right?
Yes,
I need to
yes.
Jesus
check.
Christ, man. Like,
What'd you say? Where's Wendy?
Alright, so now since Emmanuel's not here, we're just gonna move on to the confirmation of nominee. Alright, so when we were doing these interviews for Lorraine, I kind of split up the batch, which was interesting because I interviewed her and then Jose interviewed Wendy, so we kind of each had our own inputs and like point of views towards it. So like when Wendy's gonna be Jose, you could explain like what you saw in her interview. And so
Bye guys, thanks again.
Alright, so since I introduced, next time, Name of the night. Yes, thank you, name of the night. I thought she was one of like the strongest candidates that I've seen just within the batch. She was very driven, and she already had initiative on her own, and she told me that even if she didn't get the position, she'd still work on it and like move forward towards getting this goal, which I thought was really great. And she just had a lot of like really great ideas. I think, but the biggest thing for me was just like in Senate, a lot of us have to know how to do like self-management and like plan out what you want to do, because at the end of the day, it's your initiative. And so she showed a lot of that, and she knew how to like manage her schedule well. And yeah, that's it. So if you could just say a bit about yourself and also why you're interested.
Hi, I'm Naomi Chambers. I'm a freshman here at UMBC, and I'm a Canadian scholar, and my majors are global studies and Chinese. So the reason I really wanted to be in SGA is just I'm really interested in steward government. I was in it in high school. I was vice president, and I helped plan like prom. I did a lot of assemblies, a lot of like multicultural sensitivity training assemblies, because also in high school I co-founded Diverse Kids at Work, which is like just a club to integrate minority students into the white majority of our school, and kind of just create a mutual understanding, kind of like what we were going through, and to educate and just bring everyone together. So I think that having that background and also being an SGA, I was able to create like joint events between the two organizations that I was a part of. And when I came to UMBC, since it is a diverse campus, I feel like being an SGA will allow me to improve on that skill that I built in high school. So that's one of the two main reasons I wanted to join.
Any questions?
Yes, so, I know one goes to that you're already working on some stuff. Would you be able to like dig a little bit deeper into what that is and what you're planning to do with your time this semester, and hopefully the rest of the time that you're going to be in SGA?
For sure. So my initiative that I have a lot of interest in is the career fair. The main focus of that is that a lot of international students and Latinx students here aren't offered valuable jobs to help them progress further than UMBC, most of the time because international students or Latinx students don't have the proper, documentation through the school to help them apply for all jobs. And I realize that not all jobs are allowed to hire certain people in different levels of their citizenship status. So I think that overall, I think the Career Center could really improve on finding jobs that will progress them past UMBC and that will be able to hire them, because even past the international and Latinx student situation, there are regular students here who feel like the jobs offered just aren't ones that will help them be better as people, be better as students, and gain that experience further. So I think that because this campus is so diverse, that the Career Center could be doing honestly a better job. And since I'm a freshman and I will have to utilize those resources afterwards, I would like to know that I'm working with a resource that actually cares about my well-being, and I want to be a part of that change. So.
Any other questions? Comments?
Yeah, so I've known Nayla since Strive, and
Oh
yeah, I'm doing that. I registered an obsession due to the nature of my. Yeah, so I've known her for a while, and from the moment that I met her, I saw the oomph that she has for student governance. Even at Strive, she was always striving to always go above and beyond, and to make sure that her opinions are heard and valued, and make sure everyone's opinions are heard and valued. And I think that's something that we could really use. She has the oomph and the drive to actually do valuable work on campus. Honestly, I'm 100% sure that she's going to do great things on this campus, and that's why she has my vote, but not really because I'm the same.
And also, I know that since I'm a freshman and I'm going into kind of a big role, I personally am not worried about me being new here on campus and coming into that. And I think that honestly, it offers a new perspective, which is good in situations like this, and it gives me more time to grow and to learn from SGA and to take what you guys are saying and to build upon that further.
And also, it's a team effort here, so if you have any questions or needs, we all work together. So
really like here.
One, I was surprised you're a freshman. That's crazy. Because you seem like like the way like your maturity and your experiences are. Like you're someone that like I would expect like I'd ever seen you or something. That's a compliment, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of people say that to me. You were in poli sci class with Anson.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, with Anson. Oh, I knew you look familiar.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so I actually did have a question. Hello again.
Hi.
I wanted to know if you could kind of share maybe a very like challenging experience that you've had to overcome. Maybe it be like working with people or like setting up an event or something like that.
Well, I can do both. If you would like.
No, if you could like, oh yeah.
Or do you want me to just choose between them?
Whatever you like.
For the event, this goes back to high school with Divergent at Work. Because the high school I went to was very in a rural area, it was predominantly just like not for minority representation. And so having to plan, we did our first ever multicultural diversity fair in which we had different groups from the community and outside the community come and basically like share their cultures and trying to educate the students there, which was very hard to do. But I think the hardest part about setting that event up was pleading our case to administration, because it's hard when you don't have that empathy in between you. So having to talk to them and setting up and pleading why it's so important, I think that built my communication skills and how to separate, my feelings from statistics, like what it could bring to the school, the benefits, the opposite of benefits. I'm just blanking on the word. Yeah, disadvantage, sorry. The disadvantages of the program, and I think having to go through that just built me as like an organizer, as a leader. Dealing with people, so my roommate, I guess in the beginning of the year, I really had to learn to be in a new environment. I'm in a suite with 3 white roommates, and that's very new for me and very new for them. And I think just having to adapt to that new environment was very challenging, but it once again taught me to like, I was always pleading for empathy in high school, but I never was forced or put into position to give it, because we were always the minority and always the one pleading for it. So I think being in that situation helped me see a whole new side of everything, and it grew me as a person.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your first.
What you're passionate about is the career center and how to like gear towards more opportunities for international students and Latinx students. So would that be coinciding with the career center as a whole, or like with the upcoming career fair?
I think I would want to target the career center, because the career fair is one event that they hold. But if the career center is the one not doing it properly and efficiently, then I think the problem is with the career center. And, not the problem with the people in the career center, but maybe just like their goals are not focused on the right path. And if I were to get into the career center, like talk to people, I already talked to Carlos and the Mosaic Center about this issue with the fellow student Joanna Hernandez. And he said that like it would be a good initiative to work with the career center and try, like from the Mosaic Center's point of view, to try and just incorporate so it's overall a better experience for students here.
That's all the questions. What other time commitments and responsibilities do you have?
So I'm a member of the BSU and the Black Lives Matter student organization. Outside of school, I'm a member of the NAACP. So, but since I'm out of state, I'm from Virginia, I can't really be there all the time, so it's mostly an online commitment type of thing. But so far, I haven't been really constrained to any one thing. So I do have the time to put the work in for this, and I'm not taking a lot of classes this semester. So it's a really good fit into my schedule.
I have a comment. You were talking about international students. There was actually an international student career conference 2 weeks ago. So just like in future reference to work with that, you could work with them.
Yeah, I couldn't go, but like I know what you're talking about, and yeah, I'm looking more into that. Gotcha.
I don't know if it's a comment or a question, but do you know how like earlier in the semester there was I know all the Black orgs, they came together and they had like a career fair.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, like, in regards to like what you're trying to work towards, like, do you see yourself possibly doing a career fair for specifically like international students and Latinx students, or just working with the systems we already have in place?
I think that the fact that certain student orgs have to have their separate career fairs proves that there are problems already. Like, I know it's not a direct cause of the career center, but it is a reflection that if the Black student orgs have to have their own career center, like their career fair, maybe that means there's not enough, Black-owned businesses at the career fair. So like that would be something that I would be like working with and trying to figure out more of.
Oh wait, I just realized it wasn't a career fair. It was actually like a club. Like you know how like you have that thing in the beginning of the year. Involvement fest. Yeah. So I guess you would prefer to work within the systems that we have in place.
I mean, if working with that would trickle down to me working with all those, like I would be happy to do that as well. But I think my main focus is the source.
Okay.
This is a question for you, Wambo. Is the cell correct in regards to the stipend, because we're in the third and fourth quarter now?
No.
May I? I wrote it as prorated in the sense that like it has to reflect that she is getting paid like the full, like on paper she's hired as a senator with like this getting paid the same as we all would, but she would get paid for third and fourth quarter. I think.
That answers the question.
I'll move to approve SL 37-1920.
All those in favor? 8. All opposed? 0. All abstaining? 1. 0. The motion passes. Congratulations.
I'm bringing it in.
What does that mean?
Chambel? It's like, Candace, what does it mean?
Like, I can't even think of it.
Alright, so we're about to do the oath right now. I state your name.
I, Neil Benet,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of Senator
the office of Senator
of the UMBC Student Government Association
of the UMBC Student Government Association
and will,
and will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
promote and defend
the
interests and well-being
interests and well-being
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
Step close to a full hour.
Nice.
I was just told that Emmanuel's not coming.
Oh no.
Oh,
If he'll come next month,
He could come at 7 p.m.
Today.
He meant to send an email, but forgot to. He didn't clash it.
Okay, well, if he still wants to come at 7, he can do it then.
I'll talk to him.
So now we're gonna move on to the proclamation of Wednesday, my senator. Funny, Denise and I went to high school with Wendy.
Oh
And
really?
middle school, maybe elementary school.
You have to abstain?
No.
Yeah,
no,
one
no,
is.
it's-
Okay, I want you.
Yeah, so, like I was saying, we like split the batch, supposed to like include Wendy.
Hello everybody. This is Wendy. You can see. So when I interviewed her, something that really like kind of impressed upon me was her character in a lot of ways. I thought that she was very driven and motivated, and she had a sense of purpose that I felt like was a little bit uncommon in people. Something that like we were like kind of discussing among many of the things that she does and stuff like that. She's very interested in wanting to be involved on campus. She mentioned that she was a commuter student, and that originally she wasn't like super involved and stuff like that. And I, as a commuter student, like relate to that. But then like she kind of like began like seeing how like she wants to be involved on campus and how she wants to make it a much better place. And she also went to Stride, and she got to know a few other people here there. And so I think she's a really great candidate. It's why I recommended her, and hopefully you can all see why. So, yeah.
So Wendy, just give us a little about yourself and how you
Okay, hi, I'm Wendy with SET.
I'm a sophomore and an econ and psych double major. I'm actually in a few leadership positions on campus with the Pre-Law Society, Moot Court, and Mock Trial. But one thing that really stood out to me about SGA was that you can form these relationships with the administration and stakeholders that leads to actual change on campus. And for me, like in my other leadership positions, I was mostly connecting with students, and I wanted to do something a bit more large scale. And especially as a commuter, it's been hard for me to feel like I was represented, and I think that I would be able to be a voice for commuter students because we have our own needs and perspectives that are different from people who do live on campus. And I think that just going into the past 2 Senate meetings really like solidified my desire to like be part of this, because it was so cool seeing everyone be so motivated and driven and have their own unique initiatives while also supporting each other. And I think that this is a great environment, and I want to be part of it and help make change on campus.
Is there something you would like to work on as an initiative, like something you're passionate about you want to be carried out through Senate?
One thing that stuck out to me was seeing just how low the turnout was with the people who voted in the last SGA election. And I think that promoting civic engagement and just student involvement in general would be huge on campus. I know for me, I was your like stereotypical community student. I would like come here for class, come here for practice, and I would go home right after. And so this year, after I got more involved, that really changed my college experience. And I think that there's so many opportunities for students to get involved, but they might not know about them, or they might not feel like it's really accessible, like getting their foot in the door. Like with SGA, I was really intimidated at first. So I think promoting more people like getting involved would help make our community a better place.
So as a commuter student, how exactly would you go about the process of making sure that commuter students in general are being very representative of their voice and they feel a lot more included rather than how they are right now?
I think that one good place to start would be OCSS. I know that they have a lot of services for commuter students. I've been there, and I think that working more closely with them could give a more well-rounded view of like the commuter population as a whole. And I think that we could promote more events to get people to come to events and get involved themselves once they see that it's full of students just like them and that they do belong here.
So you mentioned like low voter turnout. Do you have any ideas on how to like increase that, or maybe like work with the election board in order to get more students to vote?
I think that working with election board to increase awareness and also maybe campaigning, because I think a lot of people don't vote because either they don't really feel the need to, like they don't see it as a priority, or maybe they don't know the candidates well. And I think that we could plan events so that people start to get to know everyone's platforms and what they care about, and so that they feel more of a personal connection to the people who represent them in SGA, and then they would vote.
How would a position as a senator be more efficient rather than a position on election board? Because what you're saying, because election board is like a separate thing where SGA officers can't directly work with them, or else there'll be a conflict of interest. So how would that play out?
The May. It's not that they can't work with them, they can be on election board. There's nothing necessarily preventing them from like collaborating and working with them. Because a lot of the events that election board puts on are geared towards just making it easier access for students to, like, for example, meet like people that are campaigning. So that answers your question a little bit or no?
So for me, being a senator would involve a lot more than just elections. That was kind of an example that I had in mind, but just as a whole, having more student participation in the campus life goes far beyond just SGA elections. Like people going out to clubs or feeling like their voices heard, and making sure that the policies that SGA puts forward and the initiatives that we focus on, that those are what the entire student body wants, not just people who live here, would be an example of something that's going beyond just elections.
I have a question. So what do you hope to gain from this experience as a whole? If you could just be honest with us.
Move to amend.
Wait, I'm asking questions.
So something that I hope to gain from SGA would be building relationships, both within everyone who's already here, but also with the administration and the student body, so that there's like an open dialogue between everyone, so that there's transparency, that people kind of know what's generally going on. And
I have to do what?
Nothing.
Been introduced,
Oh,
so you have
dang,
someone
I
has
hope
to
you did
motion
that
to
for the last
amend
one
it.
too.
Yeah. You have to re-vote on the other one.
yeah.
Sorry.
And I also want to feel like I've given back to the community, just because I know like this year's been so different for me compared to last year, and I want to help other people have the same experience.
I move to approve move to amend SL 38-1920 to change the name of the Speaker of SGA Senate from Jeb Richard to Mongo Inama.
Wow.
I know it's
Boy.
I'm sorry.
They're wrong.
Is there a motion again?
I move to approve SL 38-1920 as amended.
Second.
All those in favor? Right. All those opposed, 0. Abstaining, 0. Not present, 0.
Does she vote?
No, she's not on payroll yet. And she wasn't technically assigned at the beginning of this meeting.
And motion passes.
You better relax.
Also, did you
What?
did you copy and paste the wrong?
Of course, that's what you do for all legislation. Just copy and paste.
I was trying not to say anything. So I was trying to keep my
Alright,
mouth
so
shut.
we're gonna take this page and then right hand up. So I state your name.
I, Wendy Zhang,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of Senator
the office of Senator
of the UMBC Student Government Association
of the UMBC Student Government Association
and will,
and will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
promote and defend
promote and defend
the interests and well-being
the interests and well-being
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
I'll tell you more. Alright, so now we're gonna move on to our next item. Since to every vote counts letter. So a while ago, Francis sent me an email from this organization called Every Vote Counts, and so basically they're reaching out to see if we would endorse their initiative around like just like emphasizing the importance of having like paid time off to go vote. And so this is the letter that if we wanted to do like if we wanted to support it, we would just like sign like SGA Senate. I can pass it around if you guys want to read it. But it's pretty simple. So it's just an email that Francis sent me, and I thought it'd be pretty cool just because it's really important to emphasize like civic engagement. And one of the ways that we can do that is just emphasizing voting. And I think it's also like gives people more initiative because a lot of people don't vote because they're worried about like missing work or just like not having that paid time. So this would kind of be one small step towards like improving that problem if that passes. So
Wait, sorry, can you give me like a chapter, like a summary?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So basically, we were contacted by this person from this organization called Every Vote Counts. And they're trying to do an initiative where they can leverage the importance of having paid time off to go vote. And so that letter that I'm passing around is like a statement of our like support. So what we would do if we like, if we're interested in supporting, there's like 2 lines at the bottom that say sincerely, we would just write sincerely like the SGA Senate, and that's it.
Is this like just for schools, or is this like a state level thing?
It's pretty sure it's just for students, but I'm not 100% sure.
Like students at UMBC?
No, it's like a
state
nationwide
level,
thing,
oh,
yeah.
nationwide.
So they're just like sending it around, and so we got it as well.
I see.
And so all we would do is kind of endorse it, but we don't have to really write anything since they've kind of given us something to write. So there's that, and then the next one, which is kind of similar. Was the Student Voter Empowerment Act, and so it's to ensure just like better voter registration and turnout. So they gave us this letter to endorse our support as well if we're interested. And so basically, it's what the act will do. It will University course registration website provide a link, or there will be a link on our like My UMBC website for easy voter registration. There will be a polling station on campus, and then the school would designate a student voting coordinator to organize a student vote plan to ensure students receive the information and resources they need to register. And also, universities will allow students to be excused from class to go vote. So, probably have talked to Young about that one. But,
Yeah.
but I feel like we could say like, oh, this is a good idea, and then I'd go talk to her as well. I think it'll be easier. But I know she'll probably be iffy about having a coordinator, like it doesn't make person probably.
Yeah. I got something from someone about this.
Why do you link it? That's gross.
On my what?
I'm still gonna pike at.
Which one?
That's mine. What's up?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I think that.
Yeah, that's the exact same email.
Yeah, but have you had 2 visa options like this? Yeah, that's what I recommend. I think the point about having a polling station on campus would be great. I think the excusing part is where it gets tricky because there's not anything in the state that allows for people to be excused from work to vote. And so it sort of sets up this sort of like set of class, like a particular class, right? So like students would be in a particular class that is allowed to get out of some sort of responsibility to vote based on this legislation, but then people who work aren't allowed to, like your professors wouldn't be allowed to, but you're allowed to.
Yeah.
And so unless it's, yeah.
I might just be the ones also.
I think
About getting
those things are connected.
Yeah.
Those things are connected.
So should I talk to Lisa?
I think you should talk to Lisa.
Well, this might come back then. After
But
I talk to Lisa.
I do think that there has been movement in the past, and I think there will continue to be movement and push for having polling stations on college campuses. I think in particular on this college campus.
I think it's a good idea.
I know that they have early voting at Towson.
I'm not sure.
Think so. In their admin building, or maybe I'm just making that up. I could be, but it's still impossible. But yeah, I think that if anything out of that legislation that has been something that there has been push for is the polling stations on college campuses.
guess I'll just move on to the next thing until there's more feedback on these two initiatives. So now we're gonna get into senator updates. Michelle, do you have something to video?
Yeah, my video. Yeah, just play the video first.
So you can explain what your video is, like for people that might have never seen that.
Alright, so my initiative, one of my initiatives is that I am doing vlogs around Arbutus. And this is to engage students with Arbutus a little bit more and solidify it as our own college town. So I did 6 episodes last semester. I did one last week and I shot my 8th one today. This is the one from last week. We went to Kim's Nails and Cactus
Sylvester.
Sylvester. Hey! You're a nice friend.
Speak my thoughts, you know?
Is it loud enough? Because I think it's
Yeah, it's loud enough. I think so.
UMBC doesn't have a college town, it's a computer school.
You're awesome.
Have you had these feelings about
There's
UMBC?
your
If so, then this is where you should be.
Oh.
My name is Sean Bennett. Journey to make Arbutus our college town.
Oh, and this is not complete yet. This is just like the first draft.
Hey, you beautiful pieces of humanity.
Oh, is that what I think it is?
I'm here joined by a freshman, Jayla Banana, and another freshman, Zachary K. They're my friends. Alright.
Why are you tongue so red?
What are you doing with your life?
I'm a freshman in global studies and Chinese double major, and I'm a Jeffrey Scholar.
What organizations are you part of?
BSU, BSU Black Lives Matter, and SGA.
Are you know? And this is Zachary K. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about yourself. What do you do? What do you do for fun? What is life?
Yes, well, I'm a philosophy major, so I love that question. But no, I'm also a science major, going for a certification certificate. I'm a associate member of Phi Kappa Phi, and I'm thinking about turning my Spanish certificate into a Spanish major.
Whoa, that's a lot of things.
Yeah. I have to say that all again.
No.
Oh, okay.
What's next? What are you doing today?
Alright, so as you guys can see, I got a new hair. Oh. Yeah, I dyed my hair, so it doesn't look good. That's why I have this on. But today we're just gonna go around Arbutus again like we usually do. We're gonna go to Kim Nails and get our nails done. Look, I've been growing these out just for this.
Ew, boy.
And then hopefully if that time we'll stop by Cactus Silver Estate. And we are going to eat some tacos or something of that sort. So stay excited. Alright, so first up today is Kim Nails. We're just gonna go get our nails. We're just gonna go get our nails done. Or something like that.
This is staple of my video. It's like all the comments.
Yeah, they're really ugly.
What?
So we just finished getting our nails fixed, and honestly, I'm very proud. Look. By the way, I hope your semester's going well, you guys. We're gonna do some exploration of Kaysville soon too, so stay tuned for that. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the SAT warriors of the day. Where did I park? Okay. Alright, so I'm a little hungry and Nayla Benet's a little cranky, so we're gonna go. So we're gonna go get. A lot is happening at the moment, and I don't know how to deal with it. So we're gonna Cactus Silver Restaurant right now. To get some tacos or something like that. Cactus Silvestre. Cactus Silvestre. Alright, go ahead. There, go ahead.
What is this quote?
On my computer, it's not lagging.
So, if you guys did not know, Cactus Silvestre does 12% off for all UMBC students, but you just have to show your card. I got a steak taco, soft shell, and the other I got
2 for soft shell tacos.
Is that it?
2 for the soft shell. I can't say anything else other than saying your name wrong.
Alright, so we just finished from Cactus Silvestre.
Go back and read the sign and say it right.
Alright, so if you guys enjoyed
This is actually Spanish.
please give it a like, comment, subscribe. Please let us know what else you want from the next
Exactly, both.
Maybe I should really do a great job, but thank you guys so much. See you guys soon. I'm gonna link both Zach and Neil Bene's information down below, so go give them a follow. And I'll see you guys next week. Actually, Wednesday. I'll see you guys Wednesday.
I'm seeing him this.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's my mom. Oh wait, no. That's okay.
What's why you stay going to concerts?
No way, I'm seeing Post Malone with my mom.
Oh, someone broke that man's heart.
Alright.
So hard.
Very nice.
I'm enjoying it.
Thank you.
Favorite
So,
My bad.
okay, so that was a vlog. I did my Excel today, which will be available next week. I finished a survey today with the help of B and Candace. It's done, and I sent it to around 400 professors, 400 faculty members, professors.
Did you get a response from that faculty member?
Oh no, not that one.
Did you get my
Oh,
email?
God. Yeah, I
Did you
incorporated.
email my professor?
Yeah. So this is how it looks like.
Nice. I like the gray.
It has 22 questions, and I emailed the professors. I asked them if they could provide it to their students as like an extra credit opportunity, and I already have 2 professors that emailed me back and said that they would. I have 4 responses so far, and I gave it to them like an hour ago, like 2 hours ago. So yeah. So this is this part, and then I'm having Department of Communication like put the QR code in a poster, like in a flyer, and we're gonna have those posters all over campus for everyone to take this. And then, that's what I'm doing. Oh, I'm meeting. Okay, so that's this initiative. All right, next one. We're going to meet. Taryn and Hidayah are going to meet with Barry Allen. I think Thursday, and this is to talk about Meyerhoff and to actually start doing the work for Meyerhoff and like maybe start cleaning it up and all that. And at 9 a.m. that day, I'm going to see Collier, and I'm going to talk to them about adding a community tab to my UMBC, and we're going to throw the the business discounts, like all the events, all the blogs, everything on there.
It's working. I said Ben's already working.
Nice.
Like that.
Do you guys have any questions?
So you gave him like the report and everything, the Meyerhoff report, was that at the meeting?
The proposal?
Yeah.
I sent it to them. And said, come talk to me.
For your video, what I really want, so what I would love to see, is if every time you said the word
There's a
Sylvester, that like whatever, like that they can just like put it on the bottom, but like with the way you said it, like every time. Like it spells out every time you put it on. Yeah, like closed caption, just for that word.
I'm gonna text them right now.
Also, it was like really funny, but like I wish I could have seen like how much like the chocolate and stuff was, or like everything else.
Yeah.
For the time.
But I think.
Well, the menus are online.
The nails were $12. I do remember that.
That's pretty, that's good, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
honestly like I
Oh, man,
but
look.
I
It's
will
just a
say
coat?
that there's only like
Is that good?
2 stations for you to get your nails done. That's why they look bad now, because I was thinking. But when I got them done, they look really good. But there is like when we went in, I had to get mine done. Then they had to go together. So like if you go in with more than 2 people, like you will be there for a while. That's the only thing. Because it's small, but that's not their fault.
That's the one that's called the Dom's
It's the one that said harassment, actually.
Harassment?
Yeah.
Yes, harassment.
It's,
Interesting.
Yeah.
it's called harassment.
Isn't that beautiful?
Anyone have any comments for Rashad's video?
Or just anything that I'm doing.
Looks good, bro.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you promote these vlogs?
So I actually just filled out like 6 forms of Department of Communication. I'm having them create.
So that's, what is that? What is that?
Oh, that's like the people in SGA that like create posters and like promotional stuff. So I'm gonna once they finish their flyers, posters and banners and everything like that, I'm gonna talk to Common Vision and I'm gonna have it like with the QR code to the playlist that leads to the vlogs. I'm gonna have it like in the bus stops, in the breezeway, like banners. All you're gonna see my face all over campus.
Are beautiful. I have a.
Yeah.
You definitely talk to transit to put them in the actual buses.
Yeah, like play them for people.
Oh, and the video, they have videos.
Oh, no, but
No,
I feel like they put that. I
They
feel
don't
like
have videos
posters
in
on in the buses.
No, inside the buses?
Hey,
Oh,
y'all,
no.
y'all
They have
interrupted me
radios
over
that
there.
put Yeah.
Oh. Your question?
I was gonna say, like, I know I was there when you did it and I didn't notice, but like the vlog is very on our faces and you can't see what's around. I guess that's the only thing. So like, that's just what I noticed. Yeah.
He's like, you never gonna be in a one.
I just lost my position.
Do you ever like talk to the people who own these businesses? I think
Yeah.
that would be part of the vlogs.
Yeah. Some of them don't want to do it. Most of them don't want to do it. But it's okay. Do you guys have any other questions? Do you have any questions about the survey?
When do you plan on like synthesizing all that information? Like, you have a date that you plan to say, okay, this is my data, now I'm gonna like.
I'm gonna give it a month.
Okay.
So March 24th. I will have like a data sheet available for you guys.
Okay, send me that. I like data.
Thank you.
I'll make charts.
Alright.
So wait, actually, so in the survey, do they want members that SGA to come down, or just
I just emailed them.
let them presenting it?
They just email their students that are like, hey, do this, and you'll get like 1 point extra credit or something like that. Some of them are not doing extra credit, some of them are just posting it in the like announcements portion of Blackboard and be like, hey, take the survey. Yeah. If you guys should also take the survey. Actually, no, don't. Because that's bias.
Okay.
That was awful.
Any other questions?
Yo.
Alright, thank you, Rashad. So initiative updates, we're gonna try and hear from everyone. Okay, yeah.
All right. I met with Sergeant Cheetah this past Friday. I didn't know this, but parking services is under the police department and not transit. I didn't know that. Sergeant Cheetah's helping me get my golf cart idea promoted underneath that instead of the actual police department because of legal reasons. Called it the COMBA law.
What?
COMBA? You just can't drive golf carts on sidewalk areas, and technically the roads too. But the real reason why they don't enforce it. They don't enforce it for res life and trans is because it's not worth enforcing. But they themselves, they themselves can't break their own thing. So they're trying to help me figure out which department to get that off the ground. If that doesn't work, then it might just have to go up to like an on-call shuttle basis, like they did with Okamoka. Instead of it being like 24/7, like roundabout service, it would just be on-call instead. So that's like my backup plan.
So like, are they basically saying like they won't stop you if you do it? Is that what they're basically saying?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
They
funny.
But
just
they themselves
they
can't
themselves
be the home for it.
Yeah.
Because of that law.
So they're breaking the law, low key.
I mean,
No, they're turning a blind eye to people who are.
Breaking the law.
That's not justice.
technically you're not supposed to ride bikes and stuff like that
On the sidewalk.
Oh,
on
really?
the sidewalk, but
Yeah, they told me that in orientation, and these dudes with like skateboards and bikes. I'm like, yo, what's going on? There was a podcast guy too. I'm kidding.
Watch it.
Financing wise, I was thinking of going to the PNC. They have a PNC collaborative outreach person. Before I go to them, I wanted to make sure like a foundation is set before going to them for guidance. So that's where I'm at.
Great. Thanks, Beth. Anyone have any comments, questions for them?
Sure, two things. Now that we have,
Put your hands up. I was such a name. Sorry, go ahead.
so now that we have our new senators here, I was thinking about planning this. You guys ever heard of an escape room?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what I wanted to do, don't get out your seat yet, is I wanted to set up either this weekend or next weekend, if we can, or whenever people can accommodate it, but preferably soon, and we can all. Most of us can actually do like an escape room together. Depending on how many people come, we can actually do 2 teams and compete. Yes.
So this is really fun, but where do funds coming from this?
Let me worry about that. Don't worry about it.
No, I am worried because didn't like.
He's asking, are you asking if you're gonna pay out of pocket for it?
Yeah, like
That's why I don't know yet. I'm just throwing this out to see what people hear, and I don't know if this will come out of SGA or not. But if it doesn't, the more people we have, the less we all have to pay. They're not that much. I did one like recently, and it was like $30, like nearby.
Per person.
Per person?
No, I paid for it. It was like 20 per person, like where I did it.
I know a guy
Oh.
who's in Breakout Games Columbia, and he offered to give me a discount before for my job. But I could possibly ask him about like what it might cost and let you know.
Yes.
It's in Columbia, but I'm sure we can all like partner.
Hey, yeah, we can set up rides. Let's go.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yes, okay. Yes,
I
Candy.
like this
Why you giving me that?
but yeah, he's real.
Give me that look like this ain't gonna happen.
Nothing, no, look.
I had a question. So we
Who are you
always
directing this question
to
to?
you.
Oh.
So we overspent on initiative fund, right? Or we're at like $18,000
Ooh, can I
right
This
comment on
would
that?
not be initiative.
Can I
now. Where
comment
did
on
that
that?
come from?
Can I comment?
Member development.
Can I
Yes.
comment? Those budget line items don't mean anything.
Wait.
So if I need money right now, where would it come from?
It would come out of the pot.
The pot.
Huge ass
How much
pot.
is in the pot?
What's the
A
fun?
lot.
Ask Scott.
To buy paint for courtyard.
We already have
You got these unfilled positions. You got.
money and an issue.
It's all
Money and initiative.
No, that's not true.
Money shouldn't be a concern.
Yes, Kai.
Right. Before, can I ask? I forgot to bring this up for my Senate initiative. So I was looking at the budget, right? So if we were to do, I got confused looking at the budget. So if I wanted to pull out money for my initiative, where would I get that from? Because it looked like we were in deficit.
Yes.
Jose, Limos?
Thanks.
So, I was speaking to Scott about this. We are technically in a deficit based on like what should we be spending trends.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be too concerned about that. If you can like Scott and like Francis, if you come up with a really good idea and initiative, like it's not like you're gonna look at you like, no, like we can't like fund this. Because they're already thinking of other ways. Like for example, like with election night extravaganza, Scott already went out of his way to like set up like oh my god, like to get other like student networks, like other people, faculty and stuff like that to be interested and actually invest money into it, so we wouldn't be spending as much. So like it's like that's what I'm saying, like money shouldn't like be a super big concern when it comes to like how you do your initiative, because we're working on it.
What was the second announcement you had?
Oh yeah. So I've been speaking with people in like the executive branch and finance board members and a few here in Senate recently about possibly having some like constitutional amendments, stuff like that would only take effect into the next year. Basically, what it is understanding that finance board has much more responsibilities now, stuff like that, and they're doing way more. Having an even split between the number of senators and number of finance boards. So right now they have 7 elected finance board members, and senators we have 11 elected senators. And so going into the next year, they'd be thinking about just having 2 go over there and having a 9 and 9 even split. That way, kind of keeping true to this co-equal branch thing going on in legislative branch. Just an idea, something I've been like talking to people about on how we could implement that. Money-wise, nothing would change. So Scott's like already cool with it. I just wanted to let y'all know that it's something I'm looking into, and really appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah, didn't they increase the members of finance board
They
last
did.
year?
So last year it was just 5 finance board members, right? So do I have a marker here? I love drawing. Okay. Can I move into like 5 minutes of demonstration?
No.
Yes.
Okay, good. Awesome. So we got Senate, right? And then we got Finance Board, FB, right? So right now they have 7, and then we have 11. Previously they had 5, right? But interesting thing about Finance Board, they also have 2 extra voting members. VPSO, and who's the other one, y'all? Treasurer. Yeah, there we go. Great. The 2. So in total they have 9 voting members, right? Now last year they had 5. Of those 2 was also the same 2 people. Now of these 5, 2 were the chair and vice chair, right? So now you have this split of 4 people that are leadership, and then it was like literally like 3 people that were just regular finance board members, and they were like, this is kind of weird right now. Right? So they increased it to 7 for this year, right? Now anybody that's in the student or like how much like finance board has been trying to like fix their stuff and like get everything on board, and now they have this liaison system. Every finance board member it covers like 40 to 50 students also by themselves, which is a lot. And so the conversation was thinking of like having 2, so this would be now 9, go over here and they'll have 9, right? So it'd be even split. Only thing is obviously they still have these 2 like extra voting members, but in terms of like who is doing the work, legislative branch would be even, something like that. So that was my conversation. Yes, Michelle.
I think in that way, like there's gonna be like a skew balance between the work done, because I mean, Senate still has to do all the SGCs that they do next year, even if the numbers reduce. Like there's still a lot of other stuff that we still have to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like now where the finance board is like kind of like has a higher load work, in this case it would be a higher load work for Senate. You know what I mean?
Let me
I'm
ask
down
you
with
this.
the idea of adding 2 extra to finance board, so that way it's an even split with the treasurer and the VPS. So it would be 11 there, 11 voting members there, 11 voting
You're
members
saying
here.
adding 2 more.
Adding 2 more to finance board, but keeping Senate at 11.
Okay, cool. Two things to that then. I thought about that too, just adding 2 here, right? I prefer to be a 2 more. Adding 2 here, the only thing is then like budget wise, like that's something that like Scott and like Francis are being very like stringent about right now, because they're trying to like see if they can find more money, like to get to like student orgs and reduce like how much we spend and stuff like this, right? So that's why I recommended just having 2 over here. Now with the SGC comment, I mean, how many SGCs do you all have?
I have 2.
2, you have 4. They have 4?
Yeah.
Why do you have 4? Oh, because Jared did, right?
I had 4 before you did that. I don't know.
Oh. Well, with that being said, how often do these like SGCs meet? Once a month. What, maybe like once bi-weekly, stuff like that? I think is there any that meets a weekly?
ACC.
ACC,
Yeah.
right. So the thing is with SGCs, I can see your point that maybe it's a little bit more workload per senator, but in terms of how frequent these SGCs meet and sort of what they entail, usually you don't have to do any like homework to go to an SGC. I think it'd be fair to just maybe like increase every senator's like 1 extra SGC, stuff like that. Mind you, this isn't happening now, like it would happen in the next upcoming election, so it's to say, think of these positions not as you have them now, but as how it could be for the next person. So, Hidayah, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
So Francis, we were talking to Francis about this too, and she was saying, what did she said that if we gave like voting, like we were thinking about giving like, for example, the EVP
Oh yeah,
voting
so that
rights.
was
Yeah, but
that was a
like-
crazy idea.
That's
I
like it is,
threw out,
that's like
right?
it is.
Okay.
And this is to kind of like compensate the fact that they had 2 executive people on finance board. I said, oh, let's just have 1 extra person here, and she was like, that's a little bit too much influence.
Yeah.
So we're fine. She's on board with the 989 thing, right? And just leaving this 2 thing alone, right? I spoke with Liam. She's also on board with the 989 thing and everything. Scott and Zane, for the most part, are also in agreement. But I was going to speak to them this Wednesday, like during our steering committee, more in detail about this. In terms of like where the support is, like the higher leadership, quote unquote, like are with it. But that's why I also wanted to speak to you, senators, and I was also going to speak to finance board tomorrow. Kind of get like what your thoughts are and stuff like that. Sounds like Michelle doesn't want to do it though.
Oh no, definitely not. Because I personally think that Senate's work is way different than finance board's work, right? Like they have a set of guidelines that they follow with their liaison system and all the allocating of the money that they do. But I think Senate is like more of you have a group of people that each have their own respective experiences and like different mindset, and you put them in a room, and each of that mindsets like add like something to build like something for the whole student body, right? And I feel like reducing the amount of, like different people that we're bringing into Senate is going to reduce the diversity of the initiatives that we have and the different things that we will accomplish across campus. That's just my 2 cents. Yeah.
Okay. This was my idea. Like what Rashad said. I know with the budget being tight with adding 2 extra people on finance without removing one from Senate. Is it plausible or possible to just like decrease the stipend so that way?
Yeah, I thought about that too. Scott was fine with that too. I'm pretty sure Francis would be, but I think they'd be a little upset because then they have to go and redo their whole budget again and stuff like that. But that's also something that they consider, like reducing stipends, so it's 11. The only thing with that is another development, right, that we had last year is we increased all stipends all across the board, right, and then Sahab or Safarb or whatever the acronym is, Safarb, like they pushed back and they were like, I don't know about this, and so we had to like kind of compromise where our stipends are now, with the thinking that we would have people performing more now and stuff like that. And for the most part, they have. And so, like, I think it would look, it can't happen, but I feel like it would look really bad on us to say, hey, we actually bit more than we wanted. could reduce social activities.
And it'd also be harder in the future for like next SJs to say like, oh, how come they had to cut that when we're doing more work now? It's gonna be hard to like get, because if we're gonna go like this every time, it's gonna be difficult to prove why we're doing it.
Where did we? So like the stipend was like 700 before, right? And now it like went up a lot.
Stipends were like 400% or
No,
something.
it's
It was like 700, right? And then now it's like
Yeah.
2,000 something.
But where do we find the money? Like, 'cause that's a lot. That's a big
Yeah.
increase. So
I
why
love
can't we
that.
just find the money again?
So the way we, oh god, now I have to go back to like how we did budget last year. So the way we found all that money for the last budget, quick summary, our president and treasurer spoke to different orgs and partners that we worked with and say, hey, do you really need this much money? For example, the Women's Center, we were like giving them like $4,000 for their Take Back the Night event. They had a conversation with them and they were like, we only need like 2,000, right? You can take the extra 2,000 back. So it was like those conversations that we had like literally line by line, thinking where can we pull money out of and stuff like that. That's where they found the money originally without having to increase the student activities. Bless you. Student thing. So our budget by number was the same, it's just literally moved stuff around inside. Julie.
I don't know, how pressing or mad this is, because for me, I'm with Michelle on this one. I'd rather just keep things the same for now, because I don't know, well, I'm not at finance board, I don't know how much their workload is, but I don't like the aspect of just drastically changing the power structure at the moment, based on essentially what Michelle has said. So I would rather wait at least until next year to do this, in a sense. Maybe just once the budget season is over and we go back and reevaluate this at a later date, in a sense.
Wendy?
I'm not super familiar with how finance board works, so
Yeah.
how would adding 2 more members like help their workload every day? Because I know like for my student org, we have to submit like budgets like per semester, and like we don't really talk to our liaisons as much.
Yeah. So what finance board representatives do on top of like trying to have those relationships with student orgs and stuff like that, they also have to review budgets a lot. And recently, like they actually for this last budget season, like they had to have an extra meeting in the week to accommodate how many budgets they were taking in and stuff like that. Yeah.
They also have SAHAS, which is the secondary ad hoc, so if people need money for unexpected consequences. And there's also, they do reallocation requests if they want to change how the funding was applied for their specific event.
And so, does anybody roughly know how many student orgs we have on campus?
250. A little under 240.
Yeah. Divide that by like 7, like, I'm just trying to be aware of how much more finance board is taking upon themselves. And I feel like that's part of where this thinking came from. Also, I was just thinking that this is our legislative branch. It seems arbitrary to me that it's this way, right? And so I like questioning systems all the time. And so I just wanted to like understand like why is it like this? And as you found out it was 5 before. So there's not a problem increasing it. It's just now it's like the argument of why. And
You go ahead.
Okay. I have two things. Okay, so the whole purpose last year was when increasing stipends was to reduce the gap between the legislative branch and the executive branch, especially the president and vice president. Would it be plausible to do that again? Like reduce the gap in order to make me with add additional people without removing.
like the stipend gap thing? Possibly, yeah.
That's because it's still a pretty large gap between. It makes sense because they have a lot, like the president, like EVP, they have a lot more work, and it's understandable. That's a thought. And then a second one, for finance board, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure, but it's around budget season when it's when finance board members are like, like really work that. Right? So would it be possible to do something temporarily during budget season
To help them with
to
that?
help them with that?
Good.
Because I think I remember like a few weeks, like last week and the week before, like their meeting ended pretty quickly. It's just budget season. That's the tough thing. So maybe like having like a few senators help out with that during budget season. I don't know how that would work.
To be aware of time, I'll take like 2 more questions. Unless anyone else keeps up. Julius and
Yeah, that's not a very interesting point. 'Cause I was going to say just, I would rather just add more finance board members and just figure out a way to micromanage the stipends just to compensate for that. But what Kai brings up is, I feel like a little bit better at that point if, some senator loads might be not, initiatives aren't too intensive, and they so happen to be like having more time during budget season, they could essentially assist instead, and I feel like that could be a easier way to work, just to make the finance board's life a lot easier in a sense. So I'm more on with that idea.
I just had another idea, like, instead of adding 2 more to what we already have, each finance board member could hire an assistant. Because they have that power to do that. They have the power to hire an assistant. It's in the legislation. And they could hire an assistant. It doesn't have to be that much paid, like $200. Again, it's just like to try to take some of the workload off of them. Like, they're not going to be doing their job for them. They're going to be like making a few phone calls a day, a few emails a week and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, like $200 a week. Because I just did the calculations. Adding 2 new finance board members would be like around $4,500 extra a year. And you divide that between 7 is, you could pay an assistant $500 and they could do the job. This is $642. Like, that's how much extra you're spending per person, right? So you could hire an assistant for $400 and they could do some of the work.
Yeah.
It's more economic, and that way the power is not skewed as much.
That's a good point. Yes,
I know you said Risha was the last time.
Power is not real.
What I hear the prevailing consensus being is that you are in support of finance board having more members, but not at the cost of losing your job. That is what I hear the prevailing consensus. And so that if Josue or anyone else were to present legislation with a constitutional amendment that increased finance board membership, but decreased your own membership, that it would not pass this body. Is that what I'm hearing?
I vote yes.
Or some people might vote yes. But there are some people who would vote no.
Thank you. I mean, and that's the whole point when I raise this. I mean, these are great ideas that I wouldn't have thought of myself. And so this coming Wednesday, this is a conversation I'll have with the steering committee, present like some of these ideas as well, stuff like that. But yeah, cool. I'm done. Thank you. Stop.
I found out what that means.
Is it vulgar?
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, man. Let's get to work. I feel like it means like work it. Maybe like that.
Ante las pilas.
Archie, but did you have any updates for us?
So I emailed Patrick Dawson about the microwaves and pretty much told me, placing microwaves in the library. Pretty much told me that, I'm looking at the email. So the reason there were microwaves there in the first place was because there were vending machines that had food that needed to be heated. So because when Einstein Bagels opened up, the need for those vending machines kind of became obsolete, so they took out the vending machines, and because of that, they took out the microwaves. So, essentially, yeah, that's why the microwaves went away. He also said that the microwave, like if we were to get them placed back in the RLC, they would have to be industrial grade microwaves. And because that building is an environmental safety and health building. Yeah, so it needs to like meet the right requirements for us to place microwaves back in the LLC. Yeah, but essentially he said that like he couldn't really help me with that because well, I mean, he said like the people that placed the microwave there in the first place was food services or like one card because they were the ones that deal with food and stuff, not the library. So he said I should contact them, and I did, and they said I should contact him. So, yeah, I feel like they've been giving me a little bit of a runaround. Like I go to one person, they're like, oh, go to this person. But this is through email though.
So they're saying that you can't put them on the RLC, basically?
Essentially, like he told me the reason why they took them out in the first place, right? And then he said that if I wanted to bring them back in, like place the microwave back in, I should contact Campus Food Services or One Card, which I did. And well, I mean, I contacted Chartwells, which is like they run food services and stuff like that. And they were like, well, I should contact the library, which I already did.
So why did they take it out of RLC? I'm sorry.
Oh, so like when they put Einstein bagels so like there wasn't, so there used to be vending machines with the microwaves because there was food there that needed to be heated. So once Einstein bagels was placed in the library, they took out the microwaves and took out the vending machines because they thought they go hand in hand. But it's like there's students that come in there with like food that they brought from home that they might just want to microwave.
Einstein closes at 10. RLC's open all night.
Yeah, it's actually.
Can't you put one in the atrium?
Wait, so were they saying that those are so they're saying that those reasons are why they removed them? Are they saying that those are reasons why to not have it?
It's just, he just told me why they removed them.
Oh, okay.
And he said that I should contact food services.
So did you say earlier that if there were to be microwave, it had to be industrial grade?
Yeah, he said industrial grade.
So is there an obstacle in getting that, or?
I think he probably just wanted to mention that as well. I don't think I'm not sure. I don't think so. It's just that like, he said like, essentially, it's not that, like the issue isn't just purchasing a microwave, it has to be a specific type of microwave. So yeah.
Is he aware of what the type of the microwave is?
He just said industrial grade, and I know like I looked up what that would be, and I think the cheapest was probably like 200. So.
That is my Oh, I was just gonna ask, why did they remove the vending machine?
Oh, because of Einstein bagels.
Could you ask to bring them back? Is there a force to bring the microwaves back? Like, I don't know where they put them.
Probably, but I mean, I don't know. I think it will all go into like what they're budgeting for. But I still feel like the microwaves are useful. So I'll still keep pushing for it.
Yeah, I just think that the justification of having Einstein is not enough for people who are food insecure. So I encourage you to keep pushing on that.
So I don't understand the relationship between the vending machines and the microwaves, to be honest. Like, I guess it's the assumption that people are going to bring their own food, but there are vending machines in the RLC, like 20 feet away.
Those don't work all the time. Like, from personal experience, I've never been able to get anything out of one of those vending machines. So I sit in there hungry, basically.
So so I guess the question is, to pose back to the library, it says, if you all were to pick out a microwave that you wanted, could SGA pay for it?
Yeah, so like, it was on our court.
Oh,
No, we were on their court.
You're like, Will, tell us what you want and we can see if we can buy it.
Okay.
right? We'll give you the money, right? Cause that's what you wanna do, right? Like, get a microwave and that'd be like, so, what could you get? We'll pay for it, or try to pay for it. I think I'm right, like, yeah. Yeah.
Any other updates?
Well, that's it.
I don't have any. I have a meeting coming up Friday. That's like my bi-weekly meeting for the IFC committee. I was also thinking about an initiative that I talked to India about. I would do more research before I discuss it.
What is
I would do more research.
it? What is it in the ballpark of?
Okay, so basically, I want to see if we could get the mini vacuums, like mini vacs, and the CC.
Ooh.
Because they have like the regular vacuums now, but like how that.
Or are you gonna take it from there to like Hillside?
Exactly. Like the mini vacs can just cure. I don't know. There's money to us, like stuff like that.
Huh? Mini vacuums and a CC.
That's a really useful idea.
I thought about it when I came back to my school.
I should do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Me? I'm meeting next week. Yeah, no, I already talked about that. I'm working with my friend Benjamin Paget to open up a data pipeline to allow students to play around with data from a satellite that UMBC launched in space.
Oh, the NASA one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, damn.
So we would be able to play around with like getting his position and other data from it. So that's what we're working on. It'll be cool if it can be done. Yep.
See.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah, so I have a meeting scheduled this week with Candace, Francis, and B and Shayna from OCSS to discuss the new changes to the structure of Senate, which I do want to collaborate with you about maybe. I'm also in talks with Lloyd Ekby and John June.
John June.
Yeah, John June. About the potential voting or information at OCSS.
That's awesome.
Wait, can you repeat that? Voting?
Yeah, the voting information,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Voting.
election night, whatever you call it.
What are the goals of your talks?
To set up the voting
Oh.
things, or not the vote, the information night.
Mm.
Press key election.
Sounds good.
Alright, so you guys, if you have anything to share, you can. We don't expect you to start sharing tonight, but if you've been working on anything, we'd love to hear about it.
I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, same to you.
I mean, everything that I said in the questioning is what I work on.
Yeah. I agree.
So I said last week about how like the water bottles are going to be gone, and so we had our meeting on last Tuesday with Swati and Chartwell's, and we kind of like solidified that, and we're gonna, I think on Earth Day is when we're taking them away, just because like it's 50th anniversary of Earth Day, so like that's why we're doing that then, and then we're gonna start like telling students about it like at the beginning of April, so like people are ready, so they're not just like gone. We're gonna like warn their students.
Water bottles.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
There's that. So that's basically what I did last week.
Yeah, so, correct me if I'm wrong, on Earth Day, they're gonna stop selling water bottles on campus, so they produce less plastic, and they're gonna just be giving those cups out, because that are compostable.
So even like the outtakes and stuff.
I'm not sure about that. I think it might just be the ones that come with your meal deal, but I'm not. There might still be water bottles and like vending machines and stuff. So but I think it's just the free water bottles with meal deals that they give out to everyone. You just could get a compostable cup, and then they're gonna have like water fill stations around. So yeah, I think that's good.
Alright, good work everyone. Love to hear about it, love to see it. Alright, has anyone had any SGCs recently?
I had one. I had athletics policy today, and one of the coaches came by and was talking, and they were like complaining about they wanted another turf field, and they were like just saying there was not good enough practice space around campus for their athletics teams.
Which team is this?
Yeah, I guess there was like he was saying like there may only have one turf field, which is like needs to be shared it's, and then like the other fields are like grass and they're not there's a lot of like divots and stuff, so they can't practice because they'll get injured. And then there was a whole issue with, and then there was the athletics policy. Like once the coach left, they were like, oh, this isn't really our job. It was like a lot of like, it was like a lot, and I was like, oh god. But so that was the whole thing. But that's like an issue that I guess is something that's a problem. And how, let me think, sorry. There's an issue with like students, like students coming in with merit scholarships, and then if they lose it, if you drop your GPA drops, then the coaches weren't like ready. They didn't have like money ready for the students, if that makes sense. So the students would have to transfer schools because they now couldn't afford to come here. Athletes had to leave because the coaches didn't prepare for that to happen. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but like with athletics scholarships. So that was an issue. And I wanted to let you know that Women's Soccer Alumni Day is this weekend, and also Giving Day is happening. So there's that. And then they were talking about getting faculty advisors for every team to have the athletes have like a faculty that's not in athletics, like a faculty member that's an advisor for them that's not directly in athletics. So that's all I have to say.
This past meeting. Oh, I have something on my schedule called PAC meeting. Have you heard of those?
Wait, what
Who invited you to it?
I'm not sure. Open it and look.
Might be a problem, bro.
They were saying since Sean now can't come to athletics meetings, we need one other senator to come because they need 2 people.
What day?
We do have 2 new senators.
Monday at 2:30.
I know you're free Monday at 2:30.
It's too hard to sit around. Chuck Bonnie. Who's Chuck Bonnie?
So the thing is,
Oh.
you have to stay for the full.
Parking advisory committee.
Yeah,
But sorry, I didn't. So right now we're trying to figure out SGC. So are you going to be available on Monday at 2:30?
It would be every third.
Can you describe what SGCs are first?
Yeah, so SGCs are these committees that are shared, so they're called shared governance committees because students, faculty, administrators, and others, even like students in general, sit on these committees, and it's like a big way that we can like share information, figure out like what's going in one department, and like share it amongst like our own department. And so senators sit on, is it 9? So we sit on like a variety of SGCs. So Taryn was talking about athletics, and maybe like if you guys could contact this way about like your availability to see which ones you guys can sit on, because there's some, since we lost 2 senators, now we've gained 2 senators. You guys can copy those. And also, and then, I'll let you go for this one. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no worries.
Cool.
You can't come.
Wait, does anyone, what was that email you got, the path thing?
Oh, it was parking advisory committee.
Yeah, you got parking advisory committee?
Yeah, I got added a while ago.
Why'd you look at me?
No, because you were on it, and then you asked me to go one day. I really hated it, so I decided to join.
I wasn't on it?
Yeah.
I wasn't on it.
You asked me to go.
Are
I
there
was
any
never
other
on parking.
SGCs by the way?
What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
It's
No? Alright, so now we're gonna go.
Wait.
Yes.
Are clubs and like organizations like Center for Civic Life and Mosaic Center participating in SGCs?
No.
So, if I may.
the 27th.
Yes, you may, please.
So, there's a student org committee, right? That fund is for a representative to sit on, stuff like that. It's like for all student orgs, correct? I can't remember one campus. In terms of like civic life and
No,
non-
that's incorrect.
No?
What, the student organization committee?
Yeah.
That's approving.
That's just approving or revoking the status of student
Oh, I
organization.
see. Obviously, I don't know what goes on in that one.
That's okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
shared governance committees come out of the university shared governance structure. There's a whole document about what shared governance is at UMBC. And so there are seats reserved on particular committees for students. And this body is the one that provides those students. So if there were other departments or offices that were to sit on particular committees, it may be because those committees touch their work.
Right.
So, for instance, I'm trying to think of a shared governance committee that maybe David or Romeo would sit on.
David would sit on?
Yeah, I don't know if there is one. I mean, not in the realm
Besides like
of shared
faculty senate,
governance,
maybe.
right? They sit on other committees. They're in working groups around free speech, around diversity, equity, and inclusion, all that stuff. But there are particular committees that are for shared governance that pull from this body, that pull from faculty senate, that pull from the professional staff senate.
Right.
But I am not aware, and I may be ignorant of it, but I'm not aware of a committee that pulls from those particular offices that's a part of shared governance committees.
Okay, I guess another question I might have is how does this particular group make it transparent to the student body what they do? Like, do they share meeting notes every meeting? Right. But also, do they make that information digestible in any way? Because it can be difficult to read through 2 hours with minutes.
I'm so glad you said that, because the comms department, right, Calista, so before last year we had someone from comms department come and sit in our meetings, and then what they would do, they would write up like a blurb report of basically like the rundown of what our meeting was, and it'd be on the it'd be on the SGA website, but also like go into the My UMBC website. And so today I was like, well, I don't think anyone like really reads it that often. And since we already have the meeting minutes, I thought, maybe not. But now that you said that, and it's a lot more digestible than our minutes, would it be better for us to have like someone come in, like write a blurb of what Senate does instead of like, yeah.
I think it's most important. Like,
we do have a live stream, but in reality, like,
I watched it.
I think it's the most important way that info comes out is like how the platform is shared on.
Yeah.
So going beyond my UMBC and the SGA website.
So would so you know how we just confirmed
right
Ben, so maybe
you
doing
have a social
updates,
media?
yeah, like hot takes on our story. I think this is what happened.
Yeah.
I prefer UMBC Uber.
So, thinking that. So, like certain things like certain events and stuff like that is coming up, like that are very important. Even like for example the water bottle thing. like all that stuff, like we would make it to actually like social media, like things that we'll promote, stuff like that. So it's like,
I guess like another question is how is it cross promoted? Like how does like multiple organizations on campus have a stake in like sharing what goes on in SGA?
Sure. So like how would other people know what we're doing and how they would share it to their own bodies? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
So that's a good question because like beyond the realm of SGA and like what we post online, it's hard to say like what other organizations do with that.
Because I'm sure like Greenpeace would have an interest in the water bottle initiative.
yeah.
Yeah, so last semester, so I think you're honing in on something, right? That I think Senate is acutely aware of, is like how, you know, they're doing all this work, how are they letting other people know the work and how can we get to share that and then be able to get input from students who are not tapped into this group, right? So last semester they did an initiative fair, which was out on Main Street. They did these poster sessions. We invited people. We went through. How many pieces did you order for that?
Maybe like 20 boxes.
More than that.
Like 40 boxes.
Yeah, something like that. So there was over 100 people there. So then we connected with other students who were interested in the work that you were doing. Has Francis talked to you about
the SGA nights?
Yeah, SGA. Yeah. So they're hoping to host another one this semester that doesn't focus on initiatives, but more focuses on all of the other work that Senate does. So the Senate, the standing, or the SGCs, the work, what else are you doing? But like talking about, you're like, why are you looking at me? SGCs, the Senate resolutions that they pass, the work that they're doing around voter engagement, the work that's being done with the legislative, like polling station, so all of the work that's not their initiatives, but is the other initiatives. But, and to that point, I think that there is always more work that can be done to say, here's what Senate is doing to the broader campus community. And so if you have ideas.
I do actually. I talked with Brenda about them.
Okay.
And Wendy, we were all in talk together about equity and inclusion.
Yeah, that would be great.
I just noticed, whatever happened to the retriever person?
Cliff, retriever.
Oh, the person who
The doula? Yeah, doula, your papers on.
Fun fact, he's running for finance. Anyways.
He took credit of the picture that I gave him on the retriever.
Yeah, I'll send you the.
He's really cool for the retriever.
Or maybe we could talk after class.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Is that class together?
Yeah, we have goal finder together.
You goal things too?
Yeah. Is your hand up or is it just casting? Okay, good.
I have an office hour update.
Wait, hold on. Any SGCs? Let's go. Alright, good.
So I noticed that the comms department meeting is Mondays from 12 to 1. Is it okay to hold my office hours outside the office?
Like, have there been any updates on?
Make sure you use the sign.
Yeah.
The secondary email that you sent me?
Yeah.
There's a table out for SGA.
Yes, there's Wednesdays, or Mondays and Wednesdays. Is it Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays? Monday, Wednesdays, from 12 to 1.
Monday, Wednesdays.
Monday, Wednesdays, 12 to 1, I'm pretty sure, but you can do that.
Okay.
So,
Outside.
I'm pretty sure it's outside. Hey! It's outside. So if you asked for, yeah, I thought I sent that to you.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, totally forgot.
It's okay. As I do.
We should just make a calendar.
Yes, I need to, cause I made one for last semester. I need to update it cause now all the times are different.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I need. Another office on good. Alright, now let's move into announcements. Oh yeah, did I already say Dr. Roscoe's coming April 6th?
No.
No.
Oh, he's coming April 6th. And then.
Did we
and someone from the Board of Regents is coming May 9th, and so there's like a
Senator Neal.
yeah.
Or no, Secretary Neal. Secretary Neal.
And so I have to go to a prep session for that. But just things to be aware of. Anyone have any announcements?
So I'm saying that actually no wait. I'm gonna talk to Wendy about the whole like escape room thing. We're gonna look at for like a little form. And then also please be filling out your SRCs. I ain't trying to cut nobody's money out here, alright? Cool.
Alright, cool. So I adjourn the meeting at 7:21. So good at timing these days. Who wants to start House together?
Bless you.